I'm joined once again by Brett Hanneth from Intel Security and Alex Merton McCann, Intel Security Cyber Mum. Last session, we explored the latest developments in technology and what this means for your young family's daily lives. We underlined some risks children and families can face, as well as how best to deal with them. Brett, Alex, let's explore how children spend their time online.
Sure. Well, the research has shown that over 40% of teens and tweens spend over 2 hours a day on their mobile device. Yeah, and that does send some alarm bells ringing for some parents, because we can't always track where the kids are and what they're doing online.
So what does the research show? What sort of sites are they visiting online?
Well, last year it was YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. This year it's Facebook, and it's probably because Facebook has spent a lot of time introducing videos and really pushing the platform to children. The other thing that children are doing between ages 8 and 16, around about 40% of them again, are on social media.
Okay.
Now, this is despite the fact that the majority of social media sites aren't available to kids under 13. So it's really interesting. The girls are a lot more active on social media, around 64%, compared to just around 35% of boys being active. And we've obviously in the previous session, we discussed how 1 in 3 children are actually hiding their activity from their parents. So there's things that we just really have to look out for when they're acting a little bit secretively. I think the other thing we've got to be concerned about is photo sharing.
It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I share a lot myself. They're all tame, but but not everything is tame online. And the thing that kids need to be aware of is that when you do share a photo, it can have consequences.
That's very concerning, Brett. So what do you think we can do to encourage our kids to share photos safely and responsibly online?
Well, I think the first thing we need to do is just educate them what is responsible behaviour, what we can and should be sharing as opposed to not sharing.
Sure.
I think as parents, people also need to be aware that there are new apps out there so that children can download and actually store photos away where a PIN code has to be entered for you to actually have access to it. So we really need to be aware of how they're not only taking photos and what they're taking and educate them on what's good, but make sure that they're not using apps that hide things. The other thing we need to do is just make sure that they're not sharing their names and addresses, all right? And because when photos are actually stored, it can sometimes actually keep the geolocation. But kids are taking photos and sharing their home address, right, where they hang out with their friends.
Absolutely.
So we really just need to let kids know that it's not only the photo and the material, but also what else is stored alongside that photo.
Sure. Absolutely.
Sure.
There's also issues with online gaming. Yeah. Not only the amount of time that we spend online. If you have a look at online games, you level up by paying money. Right? Now, obviously, parents have to be aware that children are spending probably too much time in online games. Who they connect with in multiplayer games. Right? A lot of kids are actually connecting with others they don't know. So it's important that when online gaming is involved and if they are playing with other people, that they actually physically know they're true friends as opposed to pretend friends, which can be the case out there.
So Alex, we know children love to use online games.
Absolutely.
How can we ensure that they do so safely?
Sure. Well, there's a few things as parents we can do to try and make this as safe as possible. The first thing is boundaries, time limits. And don't do this in the heat of the moment. When everyone's calm, sitting around the dinner table, perhaps work out as a family what you think is an appropriate amount of time to be spent on gaming. That's really, really important. Secondly, make sure your children are playing appropriately rated games. We know that games come in a plethora of ratings, from PG through to MA15+. And be a stickler. If you've got a 7-year-old, he cannot be playing an MA15+ game. You are doing them a favour if you stick to your guns here. It's really, really important. And if you're unsure about whether a game may be suitable or is safe, why not do a bit of homework? Check out the reviews and ratings online. Actually look at where your kids are buying the games from. Is it an appropriate store? Apple and Android are the sort of places I would recommend you start to buy your games from. The other thing is to make sure your kids manage their privacy when they're gaming. I mean, you spoke before about, how, geotagging, for example, is a way people can actually track down kids. Make sure your kids have a very anonymous username that can't be linked to them at all. I think that's really, really important. And I always insist with my boys, particularly when they were younger, that they played with people that they know in real life.
Sure.
No randoms, for want of a better word, people you actually have met in the flesh. And finally, but very importantly, they need to take a break. You know, they can't be sitting for hours on their bottoms playing Xbox or PlayStation. They need to get outside. So whatever limits you have in place, maybe have an oven timer, whatever it is, when the timer goes off, get out and walk the dog. Throw some hoops, you know, whatever it needs to do, but you need to break it up. They can't be sitting there for indefinitely.
Yeah, Alex has got a really good point there. I mean, I think gaming is really driving this, but children are spending up to between 6 to 9 hours a day online.
Wow, that's a lot.
A lot of that is driven by gaming, and obviously we have to look for things such as addiction.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah, we do.
Particularly with this generation of children that are brought up digital. You know, they don't have to go outside; they're online, and we really just, like Alex is saying, there is spot on. We really have to look out for those types of behaviours where addiction could be, you know, being at play.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, it's a huge issue. And look, there are ways as parents we can make sure our kids have got a healthy balance. As I mentioned before, you know, having a set amount of time that they can spend online is really, really important. Secondly, and this is hard, trying to remove the laptops and the tablets from tween bedrooms. Now, you know, as a parent, I can tell you that's very, very hard. But a way around of that is possibly creating what I call a charging zone, which is on our kitchen bench. So what I say is that all the devices are to go into the charging zone at night, so they're ready to go tomorrow morning. And that way they're out of the bedrooms, they're being charged, and the kids are genuinely having some downtime, which I think is really, really important. Making sure you know what your kids are doing online sounds easy. It's actually not. Right. I mean, you can be friends on Facebook, you can follow them on Instagram and maybe Snapchat if you're lucky. But at the end of the day, you know, smartphones are in pockets and iPads are under cushions.
Out of the house.
Exactly, we can't really know. So for me, that's all about creating an environment where your kids are happy to talk to you about their online life without any judgment, and they feel very, very safe. And if you've spent some time getting to know the platforms that they operate in and social media platforms, you might have established a bit of tech cred. So they'll think, oh, maybe mum knows actually how to fix that setting on Facebook. They will come to you with a problem.
Another thing we have to be aware of is geotagging. Everything that we do, either moving around with your mobile phone, we're being tracked. All right. When you download an application, it says we would like to use your location. Now that may be useful with Google Maps. You obviously want to know where you are. But when people start taking photos, uploading them, sending them to people, their geolocation or their physical location can be shared with others.
Right.
And that can obviously encourage some people to give away their location without them actually knowing. So we had to be very aware with that. Everything is traceable these days. So we encourage people when you're downloading these apps, no, don't give away my location. Or when you're uploading photos to these sites, no, don't give away my location. And keep your physical presence unknown to the people that you don't want to know them.
Yeah. So obviously, Brett, the safest thing to do is actually to disable your, geotagging on your photos and actually turn off the location services in your phone. It's so easy to do, but the phones are automatically set to have these on. So with your kids, make sure these things are turned off and disabled. It's really important. And the other thing as well is you're uploading photos to sites like Flickr, please turn off the EXIF or EXIF data in your preferences. That way the location of the photo can't be, tracked as well. And it goes without saying that any device that is internet connected needs to be protected. Right. And that includes smartphones as well as your iPads, the whole array of things. It's just a great insurance policy. It's really, really important. And then the other thing, and we all live in these busy, crazy lives, but do not open emails from people that you don't know. And this is so important that we tell our kids this because, they click on a link from an untrusted source and bang, you've got yourself a virus. So it's really important they understand the consequences of that.
You mentioned earlier about Snapchat, and it seems to be a really popular social media app amongst young people. What advice, Brett, do you have for parents if their kids are considering or want to use the app?
Look, Snapchat is incredibly popular.
Huge.
Yeah. Actually,
absolutely.
one of my friends made me use Snapchat the other day. I still can't quite work it
okay.
out. But 71% of users are under the age of 25.
Wow.
Yeah. It's got some great features in there. You can put funny filters on. You can animate yourself. So I understand why children would be attracted to it. The other reason why they're also attracted to it is because they send a photo to someone and then it disappears from that person's screen. All right. But unfortunately, they have this false impression that that photo is gone. Yeah. So they could be sending some sensitive material or material that they shouldn't be sending, thinking that it will disappear after 10 seconds. But in actual fact, they could be showing all sorts of people. You could have other people taking a photo of the screen and then on-sending it to more people. So it's a great platform, but we just have to know how to use it appropriately.
Absolutely. But for those who've got 13-year-olds who are on Snapchat, it's really important that we spend a bit of time trying to educate them, how to make this work and how not to compromise yourself. And for me, like most of the things we do online, it's all about respecting yourself and respecting others. And sharing content with real life friends is very important, because there is an ability on Snapchat to actually meet people that you otherwise wouldn't. So I would really be a stickler there and really just reinforce how important it is that they, only deal with trusted people on Snapchat.
Sure, it's true.
Because, screenshots, as we mentioned before, can be taken, information can get into the wrong hands. And the other thing, just speaking of screenshots, is that, we need to tell our kids that they can't screenshot things without permission, because, the whole idea of Snapchat is that it disappears. But if you're screenshotting, it's not cool. It's not what we do. It's not what we do online. And the other thing I love about Snapchat is they've got a really great setup to report any abuse. They do a really, really good job of that, actually. So they need a big pat on the back. So as parents, if you've got any issues or your kids come to you with issues, there's a great site, safety@snapchat.com, and they respond very, very quickly to any issues. So I'd strongly recommend, if you need to use it, please go right ahead.
We can see from the study by Intel Security that children may experience a variety of challenges when it comes to the online world. The Life Education program has 2 modules, Be Cyberwise and It's Your Call, supported by Intel Security, and aimed at equipping middle and upper primary students with the correct knowledge and skills to face these challenges. Our modules explore issues such as safe and respectful online behaviour and responsible use of technology. As you can see from this clip, children may not always understand the consequences of the choices they make. This is a summarised clip from one of the videos we show in the Life Education program.
Hey, what was that? You ruined the game. Seriously? Hey, loser. Tracked your IP address and I'm coming to get you.
Dude, what happened to you?
I was online last night and I messed it up for the other players. Now some guy said he tracked my computer and he's going to find me.
Sounds like this game's messing up your life.
I think maybe I'm going to take a break for a while.
Thank you both, Brett and Alex, for your time today. That was really useful information. If you or your child have any questions about behaviour online or would like to report inappropriate behaviour, you can do so on the Office of the Children's eSafety Commissioner's website. There are links to all of the resources we have mentioned below this video on the Life Education page.